Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Jenny, and into this video you will hear a story about an American man, Stuart. He went to Pattaya and met a much younger Thai woman who was looking for a new husband after her Thai husband died from motorcycle accident. Her name is Ploy. She is 23 years old. Stuart is 55. Can it work? Maybe. Please like and subscribe to my channel, and welcome to buy me coffee if you want to support my channel. Please leave a comment at the end of this story, and I will try my best to answer all your comments. So make sure, say what you think. Okay, let's listen to Stuart's story. ขอบคุณค่ะ
Hi Jenny, my name is Stuart. I've seen a few stories on your channel and wanted to know if you'd be interested in making a video about mine. I would really like to hear a Thai woman's perspective on what happened to me. So this is my story. I decided to make a permanent move to Thailand after retiring at the age of 55. I was divorced and found myself single, with my house paid off and about $250,000 in savings. My children had grown up and flown the nest. Dating middle-aged women in America wasn't for me anymore. I felt I needed a new experience. So I thought about making a fresh start in Thailand. I traveled to Thailand in August 2017 on a one-year retirement visa and was excited to be back in Bangkok. After a few days, I decided to head to Pattaya, where I had never been before. That's where my adventure began. The bar scene in Pattaya slowly became addictive. I had never been much of a drinker, but the scene was very seductive. I started drinking more than I used to. Nothing heavy, just a few beers while playing pool. I found myself going out nearly every night. There were many other Westerners in Pattaya, and I enjoyed listening to their life stories. I was also exposed to Thai women working in the bars. They were friendly, down-to-earth, and fun. I had heard many horror stories about bar girls and Westerners losing all their money. I was determined not to let that happen to me. I would have a drink and a conversation, but that was it. My golden rule was no dating bar girls. However, it didn't take long before I broke that rule. I met a girl in a bar a few streets away from Walking Street. She caught my eye immediately. She was 23 years old and named Ploy, from a small village in Isan. She spoke very good English, which she said she learned at school and from watching English movies. After about 10 minutes of chatting, I learned she had a 5-year-old daughter. About a year earlier, her husband had died in a tragic motorcycle accident. That was why she was working in a Pattaya bar. Despite the age gap, I really liked Ploy. I could tell she liked me too, because she always talked with me when I came in and never asked me to buy her drinks. Of course, I offered her drinks, and we seemed to click very quickly. We played pool, talked, and got to know each other over a few weeks. Eventually, I asked her out for dinner. She agreed, and I took her to a nice restaurant. She ordered Thai food, and I enjoyed a good steak. She was shocked by the bill, which came to about 2,500 baht. That included half a bottle of wine for me and 2 whiskey sodas for her. Later that night, we went to a disco, which she loved. Somehow, we ended up spending the night together at my hotel. In the morning, she had already left before I even woke up. I felt cheated and hurt by that. Then I told myself I had been warned about Pattaya, easy come, easy go. Feeling disappointed, I took a shower and thought about what could have been. I felt we had really connected. I couldn't understand why she had left like that. Maybe I'll go back to her bar tonight and ask her why she left so suddenly. Then, suddenly, the doorbell rang. I answered wearing only a bathrobe. And there was Ploy, standing there with a big smile. She insisted on coming in and said she had brought me a big English breakfast. I felt guilty for how I had judged her and very happy at the same time. Ploy was full of life, and her personality filled the room. I remember thinking how lucky I was. I was hooked. Being with this beautiful young woman made me feel amazing. She never seemed to care about our age difference, and it was never an issue. Over the next few weeks, I took her shopping and bought her new clothes. We went to the beach together, and she often stayed over at my hotel. She was very attentive and gave me wonderful massages without me even asking. She made me feel very special in a way I had never felt before. I believed she was sincere. Her face glowed, her eyes sparkled when she smiled, and her voice was soft and gentle. She listened to my life story with patience and empathy. She often looked to me for approval in small decisions, like shopping or choosing where to eat. In my experience, this never happened with Western women. One thing did bother me, though. I had to pay the bar fee of 500 baht every time I took her out. I knew the girls were expected to earn money from the bar. So, I asked Ploy how much she made each month. She told me about 25,000 baht. I decided to give her around 7,000 baht a week since we went out almost every day. I also paid for all our meals and drinks. One day, I wanted to surprise her, so I bought her some gold jewelry, as I heard that gold was the way to a Thai girl's heart. This almost made her cry with joy as she put the gold necklace around her neck. She also slipped the bracelet onto her wrist. When she smiled, she looked even more beautiful than before. Over the following weeks, I learned much more about Ploy and about Thai culture, which was completely different from life in the West. It became clear she was struggling financially, and I wanted to spend more time with her. I suggested she stop working at the bar and that I rent an apartment in Pattaya where we could live together. She said she needed time to think about it. The next night, she told me she wanted to stay with me but was worried about how she would support her family. She looked embarrassed and uncomfortable as she explained this. I could see how difficult it was for her to talk about money. I had already heard that losing face was a serious issue in Thai culture. Later, I would understand this much more clearly. At the time, I just wanted to reassure her. Ploy said she needed at least 20,000 baht a month to send home to her family. I didn't have a problem with that at all. I felt relaxed and happy with how our relationship was going. I rented a condo for 20,000 baht a month, and Ploy moved in with me. Life together felt easy and natural. I believed we were building something real. After about a month, Ploy told me she needed to return to her hometown because her aunt had passed away. She said she would be gone at least a week, as she also wanted to see her daughter. She told me not to worry and promised she would come back soon. I realized that wasn't really anything tying me to Pattaya, whereas everything important in her life was back home with her family. I suggested going with her so I could see where she came from and so that I could meet her family. She agreed, but explained we couldn't stay together at her family home because we weren't married. That seemed fair to me. I stayed in a hotel while she attended the funeral, which lasted several days. After that, she showed me around her hometown, which I found very pleasant. I then met her daughter, Apple, who was adorable and full of energy. To my surprise, she already spoke a little English. I also met Ploy's family and liked them very much. She had two older sisters who lived at home and worked locally. The family lived in a large wooden house with 4 bedrooms and a good amount of land. They grew food, kept chickens and buffalo, and even had a pond with fish. Seeing this made me think seriously about the future with Ploy. I asked her how she would feel about getting married. She said she liked the idea and missed having a husband to help raise her daughter. She told me she wanted more children and that she loved me. She also admitted she had been wondering when I would ask her to marry me. I was shocked because I hadn't realized she was thinking that far ahead. Everything suddenly felt very serious. Ploy told her family, and they approved of the marriage. A traditional village wedding was arranged, with around 80 guests attending. I paid for most of the wedding costs, and many guests gave generous gifts to Ploy and her parents. The celebration was wonderful, and everyone seemed happy. I also paid a dowry of 200,000 baht, which felt was quite fair considering the woman I was marrying. After the wedding, we rented a small house near her family home. Little Apple came to live with us, and I loved being part of this new family. It made me feel young again, like I was starting a new life. I knew life wasn't perfect and that everyone comes with some baggage, but I believed this was just part of marriage. At the time, I felt content and hopeful. Not long after, Ploy's mother became ill and needed help. Ploy often went to her parents' house to take care of her. I noticed the family home needed repairs, as the roof leaked and everything was old and half-broken. I offered to pay for renovations, including a new kitchen, bathroom, and furniture. The total cost was around 300,000 baht. Ploy was incredibly happy, and I felt proud to help. Months passed, and my life felt almost too good to be true. Ploy then shared her dream of building a small house on her family's land. She said it would save money on rent and allow us to live happily together. I liked the idea and saw it as a sensible investment. We hired a local builder, and a few months later the house was finished. It was modest but comfortable, with a garden and a patio where I enjoyed my mornings. The final cost of the house was much higher than we first planned. I wasn't completely surprised, but it still exceeded my expectations. Ploy explained that the builders kept finding extra costs along the way. Despite the expense, the finished house felt worth it. I had spent close to 3 million baht in total. Ploy was proud, and her family praised her for choosing a good husband. Over time, I realized Ploy was not only young and loving, but also energetic and ambitious. She suggested opening a small shop selling groceries and household items. I thought it was a good idea that could help support the family. I gave her 600,000 baht to build the shop near the main road. Once again, the budget increased beyond what we expected, and I started to notice my savings shrinking fast. Ploy said she also needed a pickup truck to buy supplies from wholesalers. Between the shop, the truck, and other expenses, I spent over 2 million baht. At first, the shop attracted some customers, and Ploy was very excited. I enjoyed my new life, but I was becoming worried about money. My savings had dropped to less than 1 million baht. The income from the shop soon proved insufficient. I began supporting the family with about 25,000 baht a month for my pension. My pension was around 70,000 baht, so money became tighter. I realized most of the family expenses depended on me. I didn't resent this, as I had committed myself to Ploy. I believed the business failure wasn't her fault. Still, financial pressure slowly increased. Her family soon asked for more help. They requested a loan of 500,000 baht for various reasons. This included a car deposit for her uncle and medical expenses for her mother. We also wanted Apple to attend a better school, which cost more money. After a year, my lifestyle was no longer as comfortable as when I first arrived. Nearly half my pension went to the family, and my savings were gone. Despite everything, I was still happier than I had ever been in the West. I told myself this was simply part of being married in Thailand. Ploy was a wonderful wife, and I couldn't have asked for more emotionally. I hoped she would get pregnant, as I wanted a child of our own. She said she wanted to wait until her family's finances improved. She kept talking about them and not about us, which sometimes bothered me. In fact, it bothered me a lot. Ploy became restless as the shop continued to fail. She insisted we needed to start another business. Her new idea was to buy land and start a rice farm. I knew nothing about farming, but she assured me her family had experience. She said it would cost around 3 million baht to get started. I found it hard to say no because I didn't want to disappoint her. In the end, I took a loan against my house in England. I invested another 3 million into the land and farm. The money went into buildings, irrigation systems, equipment, and setup costs. Since I wasn't doing the physical work, I paid farm laborers as well. Most of them were from Ploy's extended family. Their wages seemed quite high to me, but I felt I had no choice. When I look back, starting a rice farm was the dumbest decision I had ever made. I was under constant pressure to keep paying workers and bills. When the harvest came, I barely saw any money returned to me. Everything felt like one-way traffic, with money only flowing out. I did receive some income, but it didn't come close to covering the overheads. Ploy wanted us to invest in more equipment to make the farm more efficient. She believed it would become profitable in the long run. By then, I had had enough of pouring money into what felt like a bottomless pit. I refused to invest anymore. After that, Ploy became moody and distant toward me. She almost became a different person like the flick of a switch, and she started spending most of her time at her family's house. When I complained she was never home, she said she needed to be at the family home to care for her mother, so I couldn't really argue. I could have stayed at the family home too, but as a Westerner, I needed my own space. Things became worse when I told her I couldn't keep subsidizing farm workers' wages. She said laying people off would cause her to lose face. She snapped that she thought I still had money. I decided I had no choice but to cut my losses. As Ploy grew more agitated, she also became less affectionate. She spent little time with me and rarely stayed in our bedroom. Talking about having a child felt pointless now. I began to feel lonely again. Often, she wouldn't even answer her phone in the evenings. I felt foolish and used. I had taken her out of the bar, renovated her family home, bought her a pickup truck, built a shop, and invested in land. All of it had failed, and now I was expected to feel guilty about stopping. I couldn't understand how things had unraveled so quickly. My dreams of starting a family with her were disappearing. Most of the time, I was left alone in our house. When she did stay with me, she was tired and moody. I felt confused, isolated, and unappreciated. One evening, alone and drinking a few beers, it hit me that this marriage wasn't going to work. Since I stopped giving money, she had become a different person. There were no more massages or warmth. It felt like she was with me out of duty, not love. I blamed myself and told myself it was my fault. I was old enough to be her father and wasn't getting younger. I began spending more time with other Westerners who lived in nearby villages. I grew more distant from Ploy and her family, though I still supported them financially. The village smiles I once received had faded away. Without Ploy, I had little reason to stay in the village. It felt like she'd lost interest in me completely. I started considering my options. I thought about selling the land and rice farm to recover some money. Since she no longer lived with me full-time, I felt separation or divorce was inevitable. When I told her this, her response shocked me. She said that I was the one choosing to leave and no longer loved her. Just like that, the blame was placed on me. I felt trapped and powerless. I didn't want to leave on bad terms, so I promised to continue sending her money. This was difficult now that I had loans back home. I suggested selling the rice farm, but she refused. She said the farm was unlucky and that nobody would buy it. She blamed me for bringing bad luck into her life. She said everything I invested in had failed, including the marriage. Then she told me plainly that I should go. I was speechless. It was clear that her family wanted to keep everything I had paid for. The house I had built, the shop, the truck, the rice farm. It is well known here amongst expats that money only flows in one direction between foreigners and Thais, and foreigners almost never get a dime back. She said leaving was my choice, not hers. I could have argued, but I knew I was fighting a losing battle. I cut my losses and walked away. I returned to my native USA and went back to work to recover financially. I still have my pension and can manage my loan repayments. In a few years, I plan to return to Thailand. I still love the country, the food, the climate, and the energy. I don't blame Ploy for losing interest in a man who was older than her own father. I was unrealistic from the start. I now know she was far too young for me. I ignored that because I had fallen deeply for her. Losing money hurts, but I hope it helped her family. They were always polite and kind to me. I miss Little Apple and wish them all well. We still keep in touch occasionally. In the end, things worked out for everyone except my bank balance. I've learned that relationships with much younger women come at a cost. I was lucky we didn't have a child together, which would have made things much more difficult. This experience taught me important lessons about culture and expectations. Next time, I'll be wiser and far more careful. Sure, this episode has knocked me for 6, but I'm far from down and out. I put it down to me not understanding Thai culture and Thais not understanding that Westerners do not have unlimited resources. And what about me then? Well, in 5 years, I think I can get back to square one again. In fact, I think I was lucky. I could walk away and still have the chance to bounce back. And now that I know the warning signs, I think I can avoid getting in too deep too quickly with another Thai woman. Next time, I'll remember to avoid women under 30 years old. And believe me when I say this, I will not be going back to Pattaya, Jenny. Okay. Thanks for reading my story. Would love to know what you and your viewers think. Stuart, New England, USA.